I'm going to dive into today's message, and it's building on that. I really feel God's building on that. And I was waiting on the Lord for this morning's message, and I get quiet, and I'm like, God, what do you want to say? I always go to Him and say, God, what do you want to say? Got nice and quiet, and I heard this bird start singing, like just start singing just as I got quiet. And I know, I'm not an ornithologist, but I know my way around a bird book. And I know what bird sounds go with what birds, but this sounded a little bit different. It sounded just, and it went on. And later on I realized it was our normal Cape Robin chat that just had another tune. And this morning that I was sitting, he decided to sing a different song. And then he started to sing another song, and I'm going, wow, this is awesome. And I just felt God say, that's my gift. That's my gift. That's my gift to you this morning. There we go. Someone's phone bird song is going. Someone's phone agrees with me. Okay. And I'm going, God, is this you? And He just reminded me of Jesus who said, take notice of the birds. So I took notice of the birds because this is how God speaks. And I want to go to Luke 12, verse 24. And you can turn there. Luke 12, verse 24. Jesus says, observe. In Luke, it's written this way. It says, observe and consider the ravens. In Matthew, he says, observe and consider the birds, or consider the sparrows. And in this part, it says, for they neither sow nor reap, yet they have neither storehouse nor barn, yet God feeds them. Of how much more worth are you than the birds? Turn to the person next to you, say, I'm more valuable than the birds. Okay. Turn to the other person on the other side, say, I'm more valuable than a budgie, or a sparrow, or whatever bird it is. The context here, Jesus is speaking actually about people who experience anxiousness and are worried about where their provision is going to come from. And that's the context. And Jesus is saying, hey, the birds get lots of food, and you're way more valuable than that, so don't worry about that. But I was listening to the song this morning. I'm listening to the sound of joy that bird had. And I'm going, are we not more valuable than the birds? Should we not lift up a greater sound? A greater song? Should we not sound more beautiful than the birds in the morning? You say, yeah. Can I just say, how many of you know you sound more beautiful than the birds in the morning? And my life's mandate, the calling on my life, is to call people to come and praise. Is to encourage people to lift up a sound, to lift up a song. And the instrument that God has given me in my life is the drums. And so I get to be in the back there and I get to lift up a sound of praise. And that's when I'm back there, it's not just, thinking about rhythm and time. It's about, God, I'm right before you now and I'm lifting up the sound of praise as best as I can. And God is challenging us this morning, and He's saying, observe the birds. Observe their sound. Are you not more valuable than the birds? It's not written that way, but we can observe it that way. We can see it that way. And I want to just go a little bit back, because Jesus starts this whole piece in Luke with a parable. And he starts it by telling a parable of a rich man. And it says in verse 16, Then he told them a parable, saying, the land of a rich man was fertile and yielded plenty. Say, it was fertile and it yielded plenty. Okay, some of you still aren't singing like a bird yet. All right, say, it was fertile and it yielded plenty. Say that loudly. There we go. And he considered and debated with himself, what shall I do? I have no place in which to gather together my harvest. How many of you would like that problem? Can I just see a show of hands? Okay. And he said, I will do this. I will pull down my storehouse and I will build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my produce and my goods. Sounds good, right? But then he said, and I will say to my soul, and then it says, soul, you have many good things laid up enough for many years. Take ease, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself merrily. But God said to him, you fool. Now, I grew up watching the A-Team when we were kids, and Mr. T would always say, fool. The waitress came up to him and said, how do you like your coffee? He's like, in a cup, fool. Yes, God, and he's saying, you fool. But why is he saying? Is he saying it because he's gathering much wealth? No, he's saying it because when there is much, he decided to be at ease. That's what he's saying. When there is much, he decided to be at ease. I want to rewind a little bit back to just before the elections in South Africa. And I felt God prophetically say, South Africa is primed for birth. It was a bold prophetic declaration before we went to the elections. I was at a church pastors meeting last week, where as pastors of Pretoria East, of Pretoria, we stood up together and we gave thanks for what God has already done in our nation because of the results of the elections. The fact that corruption is seriously threatened. The fact that our economy is turning. And we gave thanks. And I'm sitting on Friday and I open up the internet, and there's a little green box there, and all of the indicators of our economy were in the green, pointing to an increase in our economy, pointing to what God has spoken prophetically, saying this is a season of birth, this is a season of fertility in our nation, and we're primed and ready for birth. The land looks good. Now's not the time to be at ease, fool. If I can say that, can I say that? Because God said it. This is Jesus quoting God, saying, you fool. Don't go and build and plan and harvest so that you can be at ease. Oh, how many of you have a retirement plan? An early retirement plan? Sounds appealing, sounds amazing until you sit and do nothing. God has a plan for you to enjoy the works of your hands. To enjoy the works of your hands. Can you just say that with me? Enjoy the works of my hands. So, in verse 31, Jesus concludes this passage by saying, only aim at and strive for and seek His kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. I spend a good time in the Vantage course. So this is a little plug, a little advert, unashamed advert for the Vantage course, where I spend a good time explaining the difference between all things and all these things. Where Jesus says, seek the kingdom first, and all these things will be added to you. There's other verses that say, I can do all things through Christ who enables me. All things refers to the wealth that is in the kingdom. All these things refers to stuff, things in the world. But God promises if you seek first all things, He will give you all these things. Does that make sense? So here in verse 31 it says, aim at and strive for and seek His kingdom, and all these things shall be supplied to you also. Do not be seized with alarm and struck with fear, flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Say that with me. It is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Wow. The Father's good pleasure. The Father is waiting to give you the kingdom. And it is His good pleasure. Like, come on, it's His. Any fathers in the house given a Christmas gift or a birthday gift and waited with excitement? I got the biggest hiding of my life once upon a time. When I snuck into my parents' room and I opened up a cupboard full of gifts before they were wrapped. What did I do? I stole their pleasure. Right? They were so disappointed that we stole the pleasure of them giving the gift. Think about it. Think about God. It says it is His good pleasure to give us the kingdom. I think that's powerful. I think that's amazing. Okay. So when the lands are fertile, don't be at ease. And then he says here, I just want to go back to verse 21. So it is with the one who continues to lay up and hoard possessions for himself and is not rich in relationship to God. That's verse 21 of Luke 12. Here's the thing. It's not about whether you're storing up or not. The question is, are you rich in relationship with the Father? Are you rich in relationship with the Father? And if you've been in church for the last year or two, you know I've been saying, we're going to praise, we've got to praise, we've got to praise, we've got to praise. And I can say we're going to praise until you're all blue in the face. But if there isn't a desire to be rich in relationship with God, then praise isn't going to spring forth. The call this morning, the worship that we ended off saying, here's my heart, Lord, is us saying, God, I want to be rich in relationship with you. I want to be rich in relationship. I want to feel your love. I want to feel your heartbeat. I want to feel your presence and explode with joy because of the relationship that I have with you, my Father. Because out of that flows everything else. Out of that flows praise. Out of that flows joy. Out of that flows a desire. And yes, here's the thing. If you're rich in relationship with God, you can't wait to praise. If you're rich in relationship with God, you can't wait to express joy and to express love. You can't wait to show it. You can't wait to experience it. It bursts out of you. And I know that's been the story of my life is, God, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. What comes out of me is because of my love for the Father. It expresses itself in marriage. It expresses itself in my relationship with the children. It expresses itself in this community, in this church. It's not who I want to be or what I want to do. This is my love for God the Father. And so the exhortation I have this morning is love the Lord with all of your heart. Be rich in relationship with God, because then everything else makes sense. Everything else has purpose. I want to go to a book in the Bible that's all about love. It's Song of Solomon's. You want to go there with me? You can turn to the person next to you and you can give them a compliment out of Song of Solomon. Turn to them and just say, your teeth are like a flock of sheep. All white and in their place, and none of them are missing. Imagine you met someone and you're like, I just want to compliment you from the book of Song of Solomon. But I do want to go to Song of Solomon 2, verse 10. It says, now this is prophetically Jesus speaking to the church. He's speaking to us as a church. Prayer team, we were just speaking about it this morning. It says, rise up, my love. Rise up, my fair one, and come away. This is Jesus. Now, I know us guys, we struggle with these soft, romantic language in relationship to God sometimes. I heard a Christian comedian saying they should write songs about, Lord, will you watch the game with me? Will you kick ball? Will you braai with me, Lord? Will you, because as guys, we've got these, but we've got to learn. We've got to learn as guys to relate to God our Father, to Jesus in a loving way. And if Jesus says we, the church, are the bride, then we've got to learn how to be the bride too. And so here's Jesus saying to us prophetically, and this is the bride speaking. She says, my beloved says to me, rise up, my love. Rise up, my fair one, and come away. And here's the important part. For behold, the winter is past. If you're in Cape Town, the rain is over. If you're in Pretoria, the rain is coming. The flowers appear on the earth. The time of the singing of birds has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree puts forth, and this is prophetically for the season. This isn't just about winter going into summer. This is for our nation. The winter has passed. The fig tree puts forth and ripens her green figs, and the vines are in blossom and give forth their fragrance. Arise, my love, my fair one. Don't be at ease. And come away. And so I went with him. Here's the call to us as a church. I go with him. I go with him. I went with him. And when we were climbing the rocky steps above the Hillsong, my mom just said, there's some people that have experienced rocky journeys, maybe been going through stuff in the week. But Jesus is calling you into the cleft. He's calling you into the safe space. And he says, and when we were climbing the rocky steps above the hillside, my beloved shepherd said, oh, my dove, while you were here in the seclusion of the clefts, in the solid rock, in the sheltered and the secret place of the cliff, let me see your face. Didn't Moses stand in the cleft of the rock and ask to see God's face? You see, what happens is, in Moses' time, God wasn't ready to reveal his glory. And yeah, Jesus is saying, there's going to be a time where you can see my face. Let me see your face. He wants to behold us face to face, and we get to behold him face to face. And through the cross, it was opened. Something took place through the cross where that veil was taken away. And we are now able to see God's glory. We are able to behold him face to face. If we're looking, if we're desiring, if we're seeking, if we're searching, if we're desiring with all of our heart to love God with all of our heart, we can see God face to face. Let me hear your voice. This is Jesus speaking to the church. This is not the church speaking to Jesus. Jesus is saying, let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. Can I say that again? Your voice is sweet and your face is, now say this with me. My voice is sweet and my face is lovely. Come on. How many of you struggle to say that? Someone in the room? Anyone else? Come on, man. I look at the mirror and I go, Daniel, your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. Come on. But this is the church. And that comes back to the question is, do the nations see the joy and the blessing that rests on our lives? Does the church radiate joy? Bernadine and I were going in this week, we just spent some time going through some music, listening to some songs. What are we going to worship in our church? What are we going to worship with the youth? And 9 out of 10 songs were all about shame, all about guilt. It's like a bird sitting on a branch going, and I'm going, are we purposefully trying to teach our youth to be full of guilt? Are we purposefully teaching them to be depressed? Because who wants to come on a Friday night and sing, oh, my guilt is so big and my shame? I mean, I'm like, what song are we singing? The church needs a revelation because its voice is sweet and its face is lovely. Friday night's youth, Sunday morning praise should be the best, most desired place to be. Because I'm not all, but I come with a sound of, come on, the Bible says some people mourn like mourning doves. What sound are we bringing? What sound are we lifting up? Is your voice sweet? Is your face not lovely? Church, is our voice sweet? Is our face not lovely? I just sat and I thought, birds sing for 3 reasons. The first is, male bird's going to get up and he's going to go, this is my territory. This is my space. This is my area. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, yeah, we need to be singing. This is our fertile land. This is our fertile soil. This is the community that God has given us. We need to be lifting up that sound. And we go to the Karoo. How many of you have been to the Karoo? Spent time in the Karoo? How many bird songs did you hear? Nothing. It's quiet. Why? Because the soil's not fertile. The land's not rich. The birds ain't got nothing to protect. got nothing to own. God says the land is fertile and rich. Don't be at ease. Sing it out. Sing it out. Proclaim your territory. And now, this is not like I'm going to fight with Pierre for my space. Like, Pierre, you stay there in Rittendale. I've got Rietfontein. That's not what it's about. It's a declaration of the goodness that's in the land. It's a declaration of the promise. Exactly as Bernadine said, it's the grapes are big. The land is flowing with milk and honey. We will lift up a sound of praise. One of the things I want to say is that while we do that, we should be praying for peace and favor in our land. Declaring peace and favor over our cities, over our communities, over our lands. What are you saying about this nation with your mouth? What are you declaring? Are you a mourning dove? Or are you singing songs of praise because of God's goodness in the land? What is it? What is it that comes out? The second reason birds sing is they're like, we can work together. Male bird builds some house, sings, says, hey, come. Obviously, he's singing to the ladies, saying, we can work together, we can build a nation together. But that's part of our song as well. We're singing out, we're lifting up an anthem of praise, and the world is seeing. Currently, the world is off to Taylor Swift. They're not coming to church. We were at a school liedjiefees this week. 3 nights of liedjiefees. Kids dancing on stage, singing along. None of it Christian. 3 nights packed. And I'm going, if we had worship, would the place be as packed? The answer is no. Why not, church? Why not? I heard an interview this week. Someone was interviewing a rock star, a famous rock star, and they said, what do you think is the next space that rock is going to move into? I don't mean clip, I mean music, rock, if you guys are with me. What's the next space? He said, God. He said, God. He said, because in the rock culture, we've been taught not to talk about God. But that space has been left so void, it's going to be filled with God. The interviewer said, so what do you say to Christian rock artists? He said, make better music. True. Because we think if it's Christian, it's good. But it doesn't sound good. So, are we at ease? Are we not doing what we're called to do? Are we not lifting up a sound in the way that we were called to lift up a sound? Should we not be overjoyed about every worship session? Or are we going to Taylor Swift? I'm sorry if I don't know Taylor Swift and her music and whatever, but it's just a harmless name I'm thinking about, you know. Could think of many other examples. Okay, but we should be singing, lifting up a sound, and the sound that should be going out is the bride is the best place to be. This is the best place to be. And I've seen this often. I've seen people not wanting to be here. But the moment the pawpaw hits the fan, where do they want to go? They want to be here. The moment things go tough, oh, we need to go to church. I hope the new people aren't here because, you know, just we need to go to church. We need to go to church. Things are tough. And that's good. But what about, wow, I'm full of joy. We need to go to church. Things are going awesome. We need to go praise. We need to gather. We need to be together. We need to lift up that sound. Declare that there is joy and peace in the house. The third reason birds sing is because they just enjoy singing. They like start off with that note, like, ooh, that's a good note. And they just keep going. Isaiah 65 verse 23 says, "My chosen and elect shall long make use of and enjoy the work of their hands." That's what I shared earlier. God has given us, each person in this room, great skill. And it's when we don't enjoy the skill that we go dead inside. It's when we don't enjoy the responsibilities that God has given us, the places that we're in, that the inside goes dead. And I've had people come to church say, it's because of you guys that we're going to go somewhere else, or I've been hurt by this church or that or whatever, and wherever you go, and people are like, where. But the truth remains, it's every person's responsibility to be filled with the Father's love, to be filled with His presence. It's not my fault anyone doesn't experience God's love. I'll take responsibility if we've manipulated and hurt people. Definitely. But God is saying, man, if you enjoy me, if you love me, you're actually going to start to enjoy what you do. You're going to enjoy every part of what you do, because it's going to be inspired by my love. And so many people's identities have been broken, been pushed down, been squashed. Don't have pride in your life, they say. I'm saying, be inspired by God and be the best version of you can possibly be. Because God says, don't be at ease when the land is fertile. Rather stand up and be the best bird on a branch you can possibly be, first thing in the morning. Does that make sense? Is that good? Is that a good picture? I want to bless you guys with that. I know God just ministered to me through that. I just sat there and, God, you're just so good. I love you because you speak. I love you because you fill the vastness of my heart and satisfy the depth of my soul's desires. I love you, Lord, because in your fullness I am full. I love you just because you love me first. And you wash over us with waves of your love. Waves of your love just continue to radiate over us. And the first thing we need to do is just welcome and receive your love. That it is your good pleasure to give us the fullness of the kingdom. May we not fall short of your perfect intent for our lives. But may we be emboldened and strengthened and have the courage to sometimes sing a song over a suburb, over a nation. And not back down because someone says we should, but to declare your glory and your goodness. We're going to do that song, Here's My Heart Again, and I want to invite each person just to stand and really give God your heart this morning. And then I'm going to invite the prayer team up as the song finishes. And if you're in the room this morning saying, I want to dedicate my heart to the Lord again, or for the first time, but I want to dedicate, then come forward and let the prayer team just pray over you. Don't miss this opportunity. If it's you that's saying, wow, I really want to love the Lord with all of my heart. I really want to give my everything, my whole being to Him. Then allow the team to just pray over you and bless you. Is that good? So let's just worship Him together with this song.